Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Panzer, and I was thinking, I was like, man, what am I gonna make for my next video? Like, what do I want to talk about? Because there's so many things that I kind of want to discuss and stuff. But I'm like, you know what? What's a gaming channel without a crazy weed story? Because I feel like every gamer has their first weed story, their first time smoking weed. I'm like, you know what? I've never in my life I've shared my story with friends, but I've never really publicly came out and told everyone my first time smoking weed story. So I think it was the summer of 2011. I was still in middle school. I think it was when Modern Warfare 3 was out. Yeah, because I remember I think in 2010 that was Black Ops 1. So yeah, definitely during the Modern Warfare 3 era. So you got to think back way back. I was in middle school. I think it was like my last year in middle school, and I was actually transitioning into high school. But it really all started in 2011. Being in middle school, like any other middle schooler, we all have our curiosities, and one of those things was I wanted to try weed, and it wasn't really like a common thing during that time because this was 2011. I mean, it was kind of on its way of being trajecting into be accepted during that time, but it wasn't really all legal and all okay during that time. So it was, keep in mind, this was a time period where it was still illegal. It was still, a lot of paranoia of getting caught. I mean, you could get felony charges to some extent. So it was a pretty big deal, man, to be in possession and smoking, actually selling it, the risks of selling it and stuff. And it was pretty crazy, man. So it all started in 2011. I was in middle school. I remember explicitly, I was just so interested in smoking weed. And my first goal was to just find somebody who was smoking weed and someone to sell me some weed and actually try it for the first time. So I remember back in middle school, there used to be a guy in my class, and you could just tell when someone's a stoner. Like, they just have the Rastafari apparel. They just kind of look like they're zoned out. When someone's a stoner when you see one, you know what I'm saying? And when you think of a stereotype, stoner, this is exactly what this guy looked like, man. And he was actually a really cool dude, man. We became really good friends up until a certain point. And yeah, man. So I went up to him and I brought up smoking weed and stuff like that. He's like, oh yeah, man, I smoke weed all the time. Keep in mind, guys, this was middle school, so this is crazy just being this young and just talking about weed. But anyways, yeah, I was able to actually get him. I guess his brother smoked weed and he used to get it from his brother, so he was gonna get it from his brother. I paid him, he gave his brother the money, and he got the weed. And he brought it to school. And this, like I said, this was a time where it was extremely risky to do this shit, because not only is it illegal during this time, but it's also really easy to get caught if you don't know what you're doing. He brought the weed in his Ziploc bag to middle school to sell me the weed. I gave him the money, he gave me the weed, and this was in middle school, man. And I remember he gave it to me in the hallway when we were passing classes, and I'm like, dude, you brought this to school, man? And I remember being so scared and so freaked out, dude. I was like, dude, no fucking way. And I was just so scared the entire time. I threw it in my locker because we had lockers at the time. Biggest mistake of my life, dude. Never put weed that's in a Ziploc bag in your locker. I mean, if you're young, if you're under 18, you shouldn't even be smoking, in my opinion. I mean, I understand the curiosity, but in my opinion, you should just wait until you're older, man. It's not worth it. But yeah, it was literally I threw it in my locker. I went to class. I came back, dude. The hallway was starting to smell like weed, dude. This shit was so, and the teachers were getting notified about it. So I took the weed, I put it in my pocket, dude. I literally tried to hide it all fucking day. I was so scared, dude. And I was finally somehow able to leave school with weed in my fucking pockets, and it was smelling up the hallways. I just remember being so fucking scared. But anyways, so once I finally got home, dude, that was just the beginning of trying to hide it, man, because I had to hide it from my mom. And at the time, my parents were divorced, so I saw them separately on different days. But when I got home, I was living at my mom's primarily during the time, and I still had it in a Ziploc bag, and I threw it in my drawer. It was starting to smell, dude. My whole room started to smell like weed, and that's the thing with flower. It reeks so much. It's so loud. It's almost everyone in the neighborhood knows you got it. My mom was just like, what's that smell? Where's that smell coming from? I think deep down my mom knew it was weed. My uncle was actually living with us at the time. He was living in the basement, and it was just me and my sister and my mom. But yeah, I mean, she probably thought it was my uncle, but honestly, it was actually me. But yeah, she smelled something weird in the house. I started freaking out. I'm like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do? So I threw it away. I literally threw away my bag of weed. I was so scared of getting caught that I threw it away. That was it, man. And literally, I think maybe a year later, the next summer, I was still interested in fucking smoking weed. This was during high school. It was starting to get a little bit more common. I was able to get another person, someone that I met through Facebook who knew a guy. He was actually good friends with my other friend, so I kind of trusted him. We set out a location. I brought the money, and actually I was with my dad at the time when we did the deal. You know, I told him to meet me in this alleyway in the apartment complex where we keep all the trash and the dumpsters and stuff. And that was another crazy experience too. It was just like dealing with someone outside of school. It was just kind of like a shady experience, like, you know, especially when you don't really deal a lot on the street. And it was just a big experience. Like, you know, this was way before legalization. It was just kind of like, you know, don't get fucking caught and just be cautious, you know. So I ended up getting the weed from the guy. I paid him. I got home, and before I actually got the weed, I actually did a lot more research before I got my, you know, before I started to get into this stuff, because the first time it was a nightmare. It was smelling. I was scared. I just threw it away because I didn't want to get caught. But I did more research. I got a jar, so it was leak proof. It didn't smell. And I was more planned. Like, I was more prepared to hide it and kind of try it without anybody knowing. I put it in a mason jar. It was leak proof. I put it in a plastic bag in a mason jar. I was with my dad. I then brought it home to my mom's house because, like I said, they were separate at the time. I literally put it back in the same drawer, but this time I had it and it didn't smell, dude. There was no indication of me having weed at the time, and it was completely hidden. I had it. I was fucking happy. When I went to first try it, I think it was on a Sunday night, man. It was a Sunday night. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna try it. I think my mom was out of the house during that night or something like that. I can't remember. But I went into the backyard and I tried it for the first time. I did it. I came back in the house. I didn't really feel anything for a minute. I went to go lay down, and then, dude, I started just like, I started spacing out. I started like kind of like getting confused. Like, things were like, you know, I felt like my body was making music. Like, everything was just so intense, dude. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I was super fucking high, to say the least, dude. I was super high. I think I smoked way too much than I should have. And I fucking got so high, and I went to sleep, and I remember waking up and I was still fucking high, guys. This was on a Sunday night. I had school the next day. I was still high in the morning, dude. I went to fucking school. I was literally high the entire fucking day, dude. And I literally tell this every time, dude. Like, this shit was the most, like, scariest experience I've ever experienced in my entire life, dude. Just being high, having to focus, trying to be in school and hide it. It was so stressful, dude. I, like, was so scared to smoke weed ever again. And obviously, eventually I did smoke again. But it was just at that time, dude, I was so scared. I was so nervous, and I don't recommend anybody doing that for the first time. I feel like if you're gonna smoke weed for the first time, first of all, be of age, and then second of all, make sure you plan like your night ahead, and, you know where you're gonna be the next day, and just, you know, be in a safe environment, and just know that if you do freak out, everything's gonna be okay. Nothing's bad's gonna happen to you. It was just such a crazy experience, dude. And I think that, you know, and like I said, I still smoke occasionally. I treat weed, like I said, just like any psychoactive drug, you know, like alcohol. I do it responsibly. I do it only at nights, and make sure I know what I'm doing the next day. And, you know, even still, I think that really contributes to my anxiety when I smoke weed, because when I do smoke weed, I start to get paranoid. But I think it's really that, like, PTSD of like, oh shit, like, I just remember being like so scared. Like, it just kind of comes back to me. I gotta be really careful when I smoke a lot of weed, because I do get paranoid if I smoke way too much. So I usually just microdose at this point. I love cannabis. I think it's definitely something that people could benefit from, but it's also not for everyone, man. If it makes you feel way too paranoid, you hate doing it, just don't do it, man. It's like, it's not required to live a happy life. But man, that was such a crazy experience, dude. And sorry for ranting on too much about it, but I feel like it was just kind of like a funny story. Hopefully it made you laugh a little bit. And it's just such a crazy experience, man. And I'll never forget it. And like I said, I've had a lot of good times smoking weed with friends. But yeah, that first time was really fucking scary, man. It was really scary. And it's just something that I'll never forget, man. I remember it like it was yesterday. You know, I just feel like what kind of gamer are you if you don't have a crazy stoner story? So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys today. Hopefully you guys got a laugh, or maybe you guys had similar experience or something like that. Leave a comment below. I want to hear your story, or hell, just even upload a video and tag me in it. I think everyone has a crazy weed story, but do you struggle with anxiety when you smoke weed? Do you guys get paranoid? Are you guys out of that stage? I mean, I know some of you guys probably smoke a lot of weed. Me personally, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a smoker. I don't smoke every single day, but I do occasionally, and I enjoy it from time to time. It's not something that I need and require every day. Anyways, guys, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. All your feedback is highly appreciated. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.